Hello, this is Oshi, and this is going to be a more in-depth review of the deck Greenwich Oracle, which I used as my Oracle deck for the spring season. In advance, everything that I say is just my opinion. I don't intend to say or be overly critical about the deck or be mean about anything. So please don't take anything I say if it's negative as an insult or attack, because I appreciate everyone who creates a deck, and I know that this is a hard work. But I have experiences with decks and I want to share them, and sometimes those will not be good experiences. And I think we should be allowed to say these things, because this is how you will learn more about how a deck works or how it doesn't. But of course, what might be negative for me might be a positive for you. So just keep in mind that this can also help you decide if you really want a deck. If I mention something that doesn't work for me, because I watched a lot of declutter videos where people were stating that this and this and this is the reason why this deck doesn't work for me, and I was sitting there making notes and adding decks to wish list, because those were the reasons why it would work for me so well. So this is just to have anyone who's thinking about getting this deck have a better understanding what they will get besides or on top of the initial reaction or impression. So let's start with the box. This is a Rockpool box. So it's very sturdy, very beautiful. I think it's very nicely put together. I really like the thumb slit or thumb cutout because it makes it easy to open up. It also has this sort of like imitating leather kind of, not just texture, but actual, it doesn't just look like that, it feels slightly textured, which I really appreciate, because it gives that grimoire or some actual journal type of feeling, which I really liked, because I love how this looks and I love how it feels. So the box, awesome. I wish all my boxes were starting at this point and we just had better boxes onwards. The cardstock of the deck itself is, I guess it's typical for Rockpool. Oh, I forgot to say, the author is Sherilyn Darcy, I think that's how you say her name, and she wasn't just the author, she also used illustrations from her own journals, which is really cool because she can paint and draw, so she's really talented. This is that type of cardstock that comes immediately with a bow, and as I was attempting to shuffle the deck, I have small hands, I don't easily shuffle cards, but now when I put down a card, it doesn't just have this bow in it, but it's these two corners are sticking up more. So what my problem is that it can spin easily on the table, so when I put down a card, it's not necessarily is going to stay where I want it to stay, which kind of sometimes annoying. But it's just typical Oracle cardstock, not the best, but you can live with it. And it has glossy finish, which I think works really nicely with the illustration style as well. It could be matte. I think this could actually be matte, so that would be really cool if Rockpool would just take a look at the Sacred Destiny deck maybe, and starting to do decks with that type of cardstock, because that would be awesome. But that's just my own wishful thinking. Okay, now let's start with the guidebook. I mean, bad for me. Like I said, my opinion, yours might be different. I love the way it looks. It does have the same textured, I hope the camera picks it up, but I think it would, feeling. I absolutely love it. I mean, you can fondle this deck or this book and just be all like weirdo about it. It has contents, really cool. The cards are divided into 4 categories. earth vegetables, fire herbs, water fruits, and air flowers. And there's a glossary and everything. So let's start with the bad. I don't feel that most of the cards that what you get as a meaning in them matches actually the card itself. For example, we have the P, the communication card, which would assume it's about how to communicate, what to do about communicating better, or you know, problems with communication. At least that would be my that was my initial first impression. But this card about, I'm gonna look at my own notes instead, if you don't mind. I made all the cards, I made notes because I summarized them. So for communication, we have move ahead with projects, plans, or ideas. How do you get that from communication, that you're supposed to move ahead with a project? I mean, I don't get that, which is not a problem, but for me that's not connecting to the meaning of the keyword. Now listen to, you know, alternate communication methods. Awesome. It's you know, checking and in sync with the keyword. That's very good. But also with the what you're supposed to be careful with: haphazard actions, failing to follow through. Also don't see and don't get that from something like communication. And unfortunately, this is a common theme with the deck, that you have a card when some of the oracle meanings are in sync with the word, but there are several that has nothing to do with the card meaning itself or the keyword itself, and most of the time they don't have anything to do with each other either. So it's like, I got the feeling like it's more of like a fortune telling deck, when, you know, a closed door can mean the ending or a new possibility, or just I can't think of anything really different, but you know, or a new job because you're starting to make doors or something like that. You know, when the meaning is so out of place, for me it was really confusing, and to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be able to use my notes that well, because when the meaning is so different from what the keywords is, or what the general meaning of the or other meanings of the card is, I'm not going to be able to remember, because my mind won't be connecting communication and the P's with moving ahead with a project and plans or ideas, because there are other cards for that as well. So, and there are repetitive meanings like that in different cards. So that was already confusing for me. And then there's nothing about why a certain flower or like peas. Maybe for you guys it's obvious why the P is for communication. For me it would be more like community maybe, but I don't know. I don't remember hearing anything about peace and communication, but that's just my knowledge, or lack of knowledge, sorry. But I would have appreciated, you know, that this one line, why that was picked for the card, like why is broccoli the leader? Just because the broccoli itself looks like a leader doesn't make it the leader. So for me that was something that I wish there was more on, because I like to know why a certain illustration is picked for the deck. That helps me understand it more when we're talking about a deck like this. Also, I mean, it's cool that there's a cultivation part, because it's supposed to be a deck that helps you cultivate your own magical garden, but I don't think I will be able to use that for that either, or I want to. So, but I'm not, you know, saying anything that it's bad, because I, you know, haven't checked that. But there are magical correspondences, how to use it. I'm assuming these are spells, which is cool. There are connecting deities, celestial beings or things, and astrological signs. Now this is already again something that I would have appreciated to know, because she makes a note that she used her journals and resource and knowledge to create this deck. So but I would like to know if she came up with these correspondences, or are these some, you know, common knowledge I don't know about, because I would like to expand my studies on this subject, but I don't understand why Libra and Gemini, for example, connected to leadership, where I would connect Aries, for example, to that. So I would have loved to know why these are picked here, if it was her, you know, her experience, which can be as valid as anything else, or there are, you know, textbooks or books that reference these things, but there was nothing like that, which was also kind of disappointing, because like I said, why these, and you know, how can I use them if I'm not sure that they are coming from a place that I can make sense of. I'm not saying they don't make sense, just I can't make sense of anything at this very moment. Also the spells. I don't do spell work yet, or who knows, so I'm not going to say these are bad or good spells. I only use rosemary, but I used it completely differently than she did. I mean, she uses for cleansing, but I use it for, you know, to getting rid of bad memories. I use it to help me things to stuck in my memory, so it's kind of like the opposite. But there was some error here as well. I think it's the 73. So this is the love card, tomato, also white tomato, but yeah, I mean, they look like a happy family, which is cool. But this is a love spell, but it's attract money into your home or business with this simple spell. Now a love spell is not attracting money, so why is a money spell? And there is a money card, which of course I won't be able to find right now. But there is, I think there was money or abundance, you know, something that is the same, but even if it's not love, why is love, you know, paired up with a money spell? I think this was just an error. I really do think that someone didn't check. And I kind of feel like that the last proofread or check was missed out on this deck, because there was that error in the guidebook, and there are cards, which I noticed one in my initial first walkthrough, the one that had, you know, Sagittarius on it with a different one, and I thought that that was because this was a different way of, you know, writing Sagittarius, but I didn't know, because I don't know this type of illustration or glyph, I don't know how do you call it, for Leo, but this is a Leo sign, and this passion in the guidebook is listed as Sagittarius, but yet the Leo sign is on it. So there was, you know, someone didn't check if the corresponding astrological signs are on the cards, and one of them, like the duality card, is also, I think, a Sagittarius, so it's something with Sagittarius, is completely missing the illustration. So there's nothing on this one, even though the book itself lists Sagittarius as the corresponding sign. So these are confusing, and it was already confusing in the first one, and it didn't go away, unfortunately. We're going through the deck now. There were more cards in the water element, which are really light. I don't want to, you know, just say that this is a horrible book. I'm not saying that, it's just I'm kind of confused by it. For example, there's an agreement for strawberry, where the meaning was completely what I would think about the meaning for this word. Cleansing for lemon, same. So there are some that are actually really gives you what you would expect, and I know that unexpected can be good, but in this sense it's just confusing. But let's say something good about the guidebook as well, so I'm not just completely, I mean, I hope you understand that I'm not trying to be mean. I paid for it, I want to use this deck, but I have issues with it, and I think it's better if I say it, because maybe these things can be fixed, like the, you know, missing illustration stuff in a second edition. But if, you know, no one is ever saying anything, then how would anyone know that there is a slight problem? Now, where the guidebook is really good is with the spreads. There's a garden shed spread, which, how, you know, tools you can use to have with challenge, really awesome. There's the garden of magic, how to cultivate things, really great. And there's also a garden your spread, which is not just the present, past, present, future, but I really like the, you know, the for the winter is how you can protect what you have already learned. So I really like that extra edition. So I'm very, very pleased with the spreads, and like I said, how it looks. There's a car alarm, of course. We're not stopping because I don't care. Hope it's not too loud. Okay, so that was the guidebook. Thank you. And I know I'm kind of, you know, sounding mean, but I swear I'm not. I'm trying not to be mean. Oh, I kind of mixed in the cards, so I'm sorry about that. So, you know, what I already said about the missing ones and everything that was supposed to come here. But anyway, I really like the design. I like the back, how it looks. I absolutely in love with watercolor and the whole aged look of the deck itself. The illustrations are beautiful and lifelike. Also, there are some added, you know, things like the snake that are not explained, unfortunately, in the guidebook, which kind of sucks. I mean, I know why the crown is here, but not necessarily everything else. But they are not, you know, horrible, and they're just extra cute stuff. But like I said, this, oh, it just looks beautiful. So I can look at these cards and just be happy how they look, that's for sure. Also, how they pair with other decks, let's check that. So during this spring season, I used 2 decks mainly, but I realized almost at the end that I will move the Spacious Tarot from the winter section to the spring section as well. So I pulled that one out as well to see how it looks. The first one is the Ostara Tarot, which I think they look really nice, and they get really good messages if you just go by the keywords. And after my experience with the guidebook, I think I'm going to just, you know, stuck with that. So, you know, Chariot, Desire, the Sun, and Productivity. So they match well, I think, visually. Happiness, and I think this was the 3 of Cups, right? No, 4, sorry. I was just looking for how many animals were, but 4 of Wands, and the Happiness, the Magician reversed, and Leadership. So, you know, you can get really nice pairings with it. I mean, this looks really cool in my opinion. So it works really nicely with the Ostara. The other one that I was kind of using, and I looked into how it looked, is the Muse Tarot, that's another one of my spring decks. And, you know, 6 of Emotions, which is 6 of Cups, with purification, you know, getting rid of old things that are not serving you. Luck with the Ace of Voice, but in the reverse. So you can get really nice messages, and they match well with the colors, I think. I know that one is, you know, a collage deck, and the one is, you know, painted, but 8 of Pentacles with continuance. just really, really nice. 10 of emotions, 10 of cups in the reverse, and wholeness. So as you can see, Emperor, tranquility. I think they look really nice together. So that's another one that you might want to consider. And the last one, like I said, I pulled out the Spacious Tarot, which I haven't seen, but I think would work as well, because they both have that openness to them, you know. There's not a lot of things going on each either of these cards. Explorer of Cups, refinement. 9 of Pentacles with longevity, I mean. So yeah, moon and divination. How perfect is this? I'm gonna stop here so you can look at this while I finish. So next question: how unique it is, and compared, you know, to my collection, and will I keep it or will I replace it? So despite my problems with the guidebook, the cards itself are, the keywords itself work really well, and if I disregard most of the guidebook, which I will be doing, then this is a very, you know, usable deck. It performs well in readings. I'm just completely honestly confused by the whole guidebook thing. But right now I don't have any other spring themed oracle decks, and what says strongly on the side of keeping this deck is the watercolor art, because I love that. But I know that next spring I'm going to look into other springish oracle decks. For example, I'm thinking about maybe getting the Mystical Moments oracle deck, though I'm not sure, or the Hedwig botanical deck, and they might replace the deck if the keywords are better or the guidebook is better, because I don't want to just keep the same type of energy around just because I love the art. But we'll see, because right now I don't have anything else. But it's I am not going to say that for 100% sure I'm keeping this because I fell in love, because the guidebook part bothers me, and you know, the errors on the cards are not as big of a problem, because I don't connect anything to the astrological signs in the deck or in the card itself too, because I haven't really realized or noticed what the significance, or how I can use that, what the significance was, or how I can use that information. But we'll see. I mean, spring season is kind of almost over, so next spring. And the last one is how my initial impression hold up compared to how I feel about now. So the confusion stayed and deepened, which was kind of surprising, because I think until now I was used to just getting a deck that worked, getting a guidebook that worked, and this was my first real experience with something that wasn't working for me. So that was already a valuable, you know, lesson. But what I think that I would love the deck itself and the cards, and I would be able to use them, still hold up, because like I said, if I disregard anything else, then I can use them. But my initial expression was that it would be a great all year, all round deck as well, and I could use it to start building my magical garden, because I really bought this deck for that intention, to, you know, pick a few plants and, you know, try to do something. But I couldn't find those beginners steps in it in a way that I was hoping for. Like I said, just my experience. For some it might be the perfect book for that. You just need to look into, you know, to be sure, because decks can be expensive, and it sucks when you have to try to replace them, especially if you live somewhere like me, where you don't really, you know, run into shops that sell divinatory tools or cards, and you can't just sell something because the post office. Let's censor ourselves. But anyway, so I don't know. It was kind of disappointing because I was hoping that my knowledge and understanding of the deck would deepen with going through the guidebook, with working with it, but it didn't happen. But at the same time, I'm able to use it in readings, so we'll see. But yeah, that's my experience with this deck. Hope it helps. I hope I wasn't mean or anything, because I really, honestly, I didn't want to. I understand that it's hard work and she put her soul into this. It's just that for me there were disconnects, and I think you might be able to learn something from my experience, hence I'm sharing it. But if you have any experience with the deck, and you know, if it doesn't matter what type, you know, if it's contradicting everything that I said, please comment down below. I'm not here to bash this or, you know, have a chat and be like, oh yeah, it sucked for me and woohoo for other people too. It's nothing like that. I'm just curious, do you have any experience with the deck, how it reads for you? Which other decks did you pair with? Because, you know, I always like to hear that. And yeah, hope it was useful. I really do. And see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye.